evening and welcome to a pillar of the community. In today's program, we speak to Brother Kashma Khan. He's the manager of the Untitled Chapter Association Museum in Charleville in Trinidad. This program talks about people, organizations, events, and we try to highlight the positive that they're doing for any particular community. In this particular instant, it's a privately owned museum that captures and archives the indentured laborers and their customs and their culture and their religious beliefs that they brought from India to the Caribbean when they came in the early 1800s. So we hope that you enjoy this little program where we interview with Brother Kashma, as well as he take us through what the museum have on display for everyone to go and see.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Brother Kashma Khan. I am an executive member of the Untitled Chapter Association. I am also the manager of the ASJA Archives and Museum, which is located at the ASJA Education Complex, ASJA Avenue, Charleville. This project started way back in 2009 when the President General of ASJA, Haji Yaqub Ali, hinted to me that he had this idea. He wanted to do this archive and museum project, and he asked me if I would be interested in assisting or setting up the project. I immediately jumped at the idea. I said, yes, we can do it. It is a very good idea. And in 2009 we started. I got them to allocate space for me at the top floor, which is a temporary place for the museum at this present time, at the top floor of the ASJA office block. And we started preparing this space in early 2009, and we started getting the infrastructure to come in, the showcases, cabinets, tables, chairs, and those sorts of things. In the meantime, I started collecting artifacts and books. The project is a two-part project. It's a museum and archives at the same time. The museum part deals with artifacts. I'm sure everybody would appreciate the fact that the artifacts in the museum, for those who have seen it and those who will see it, will understand that while the artifacts are not really used by Muslims alone, they're used across the board by both Muslims, Hindus, Christians, everybody. So the artifacts are really going back into the past, because a lot of people nowadays don't know what are some of these things that your forefathers used in the past. So we found it was very important to document these things and to have them on display so people in the future, the children, when they grow up, they will look at these things and wonder, is this where I came from? These are the things my forefathers used. This is how their life used to be. So we have a lot of pictures, books, artifacts, a lot of information, and we have people coming from all over the place to do research. The archives part is where we try to document the history of all the masjids in Trinidad, all the schools, and the contributions made to the country as a whole by all the Muslim pioneers of the past leading up to now. It's an ongoing process. So while we're documenting the past, we're also documenting the present at the same time, and it's an ongoing process. It's a lot of work, and I must say it was a very good idea that Mr. Yaqub Ali came up with, Haji Yaqub Ali, the president of ASJA. He gave full support all through the project, and then we officially opened on the 14th of April 2012. The then acting Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, the Honorable Mr. Winston Dukaran, he was present at the function. He cut the ribbon to open the doors of the ASJA Archives and Museum on April 14, 2012. I also want to mention some of the people who had a large part to play in this project. First, I must mention the late Haji Sharif Fida Hussein. For those of you who will view the artifacts and the books and so on in the museum, Haji Sharif Fida Hussein donated 50%, approximately 50% of what we have in the ASJA Archives and Museum. When Haji Yaqub came to me in 2009 and spoke about the idea, he told me there was a gentleman who had things he's willing to give to ASJA to start this project. I had no idea the vast amount of things this man was willing to part with. It was his whole entire life collection. Tools, books, artifacts, household implements, all pictures, all kinds of things. And he gave everything to me. I practically made about 15 trips with my motor car from Laromaine to Wallerfield at his home to collect these things in my car trunk and inside of my car to bring them up to Charleville. In addition to that, Brother Shamshad Ali, the son of Haji Yaqub Ali, gave us valuable assistance with this project. He was the one responsible for the showcases, the standing showcases, the computer, the desk chairs and all of that, and he didn't take a cent from us in remuneration. My family, of course, assisted a great lot in setting up this project. And today, we are proud to say that we got accolades from a number of people when we had that opening. Dr. Benji Samaru, who is noted as one of the leading historians in the country, and is a senior research fellow at the University of Trinidad and Tobago, he praised this project so much and he gave us full support to us with this project, and he still is in full support of the project. Since we opened in 2012 to now, we have partnered with a lot of government organizations, including the National Museum, the National Archives of Trinidad and Tobago, the then Ministry of Arts and Multiculturalism. We have even partnered with TNTech on 2 occasions to do exhibitions outside of our location. We have even gone as far as Pleasantville with the San Fernando East constituency, where we did an exhibit for them as well. We have also been involved, I think it was 3 times, on Nelson Island, where we had Indian arrival projects, where we took things across and we had displays. So the project, while it is housed here, we had an outreach program as well to sensitize people to the project. I am hoping that, inshallah, in a very short time, the new location, a new building will be completed where we'll move across and expand this project to its full potential so that we can open to the public and have a very nice display. We have had people from all over the world come here to do research. And people from the National Archives and Dr. Benji Samaru, they always send people to us who are doing research. We have had students, we have had people who are writing books from all over the world coming here to do research. And they are always referred to the ASJA Archives and Museum to get information. I see this project playing a very important role. It's a very important link. Because just imagine, I want to refer to a case in particular, the Hondo River settlement. Many people believe that Islam came to this country with the Indian immigrants, which is not true. Muslims and Islam came first with the African brothers who lived in the Valencia forest, and they became known as the Hondo River settlement. The Hondo River settlement, after those people died, the burial site remained hidden. It was lost for a long number of years. And the same gentleman who donated his life collections, Haji Sharif Fida Hussein, he is a man credited for having discovered or rediscovered that burial site at the Hondo River settlement. So just imagine, I have some artifacts here in the museum, bottles and other things that those people use. Just imagine today someone would go and hold one of those bottles. It's like reaching way back into the past and touching hands with our forefathers. Similarly, we have some old Quran that came, very old ones that came with the Indian liberals from India. Some of them 150 years old, 160 years old. We even have a very big one that is over 300 years old. The feeling you get when you touch those books and you go back in time and really touch with hands with your forefathers, it's amazing. It's really amazing. In addition to that, it is very important that we document as an ongoing program what is happening with our schools, our masjids, and the people who are making contributions to the country as a whole. So that is something that we are working on right now. Also in the pipeline, we are doing research towards the publishing of a book to show the contribution made by Muslims to this country. We have had Muslims involved in all walks of life in this country. They have contributed immensely in every field you can think of. So we are right now doing the research to document that and to publish a book. We have been asking for assistance for people to donate to this project, anything that they feel will be of value to our museum, whether it would be artifacts, household implements, tools, jewelry, items of clothing, pictures, books, anything you can think of, we would be willing to accept those things. So I'm again making an appeal to anybody who would like to donate to the ASJA Archives and Museum that we are open, we are in receivership, so to put it. The project also caters for students. 2 years ago, we had an exhibition on the compound here that ran for almost 2 months. That project, we partnered with the National Archives of Trinidad and Tobago under the Ministry of Arts and Multiculturalism. That project ran for almost 2 months, and we had a vast amount of students from schools around the area and as far as San Fernando, East, all over who came. Thousands of students came and visited that exhibition. All it was at the Indian arrival time, we featured everything from the museum, everything that we had, so the children could learn. And the amazing thing is how much they did not know about the past. A time will come very soon when the children will not know some of the things that they will be seeing. So you have to be knowledgeable enough to be able to walk them through and explain to them about the different things that our forefathers used. These things are of very immense value. Where I see the project going from here, we are trying our best to set up that new building, a curio shop as well. So that we can do souvenirs, we can sell postcards, we can have people come in and do film shows for us, we can have educational sessions. So it's an outreach program that has educational benefit, social benefit as well, which will be of immense value to everybody across the board, adults, students as well. Well, I see this project has been very important because it is a link, as I said, from the past to the present into the future. It is one where the adults stand to benefit, as well one where our students as well stand to benefit. And I think that is a project, is a very worthwhile project, and everybody should come on board and give assistance to this project. Okay, so what we have featured here are some very old copies of the Holy Quran. Now these are the genuine original books that came from India that the indentured laborers brought with them. As you can see, some of them are, this one is 122 years old, 110 years old, 78 years old, 81 years old, 94 years old. So these books are very priceless. These are what came with the indentured laborers from India. And we are very fortunate to have these in the ASJA Archives and Museum. They are very well worthwhile looking at. Even to touch these, it gives you a very great feeling. If we can just zoom in now a little lower, probably. At the bottom here, we have some very old books as well. These are what the Imams used long ago, the Khutbah book, the old Urdu books. I know it's a pity that the Urdu language is, the use of Urdu language is dying out now. Because many of you would remember long ago when we used to have house-to-house mawluds every week or in the masjids, and you would find people sitting in a big circle and they sing qasidas, Urdu qasidas. And there would be some of these old learned guys who would sing a qasida, they would sing 2 lines and stop and start to give you a bayan. And they could talk for the whole night on those 2 lines. I always tell people who criticize the singing of Urdu qasidas, just a language, like other languages. And those people use it to such a big advantage in those days. They could talk on 2 lines of a Urdu qasida and give you a bayan for a whole night. That is an art that has just died out. It's a pity. And here we have a lot of the old Urdu qasida books in the Urdu language. We have Maulud Akbar, Milad Rasulullah, Maulud Dilpazir. We have the Battle of Karbala, the story of Laila and Majnu. We have the story of Yusuf from the Quran. All those old Urdu books, Nurnama, The Spectacle of Death. All those books we have here in the ASJA Archives and Museum. We also have a whole assortment of the Holy Quran in different scripts, different styles, different sizes for people to look at. Also featured here, we have a whole cross-section of the Holy Quran in different styles of writing, different sizes and colors and so on. We also have the Holy Quran, the entire thing contained on cassette tapes. As you can see, some of these books, you can see the usage that people put these books on, the care they took to preserve those books. And these are the condition we receive them in.
Yeah. So those are various styles?
The various styles of the Holy Quran, with some with English translation, some in transliteration, some in Arabic alone, but different styles of writing. Because as you all know, there are 7 different ways that the Arabic can be read, 7 different styles, and all of them are authentic. So we have the different styles here. This is one of the pride and joys of the ASJA Archives and Museum, this big Holy Quran in Arabic script alone. This book is over 300 years old. It was donated to the ASJA Archives and Museum, and this book cost over $6,000 TT to refurbish. The pages, a lot of them were torn and badly damaged, and we got the book refurbished. However, we have the last 15 surahs that were so badly damaged that they could not be refurbished, and they were given to me in a package. So I have that and the original cover at the back. But this is the book here that is the highlight of the open. The size is 19 inches by 29 inches. It weighs approximately 30 pounds. And just for contrast, we have at the side of it a very small one opened at the same page where the big one is opened. This small one was donated by my mom. Okay, so also featured here all this way going down, we have a wide assortment of magazines and brochures that have been published over the years by the Anjuman Sunatul Jamaat Association. We've been trying as much as possible to collect some of these old, rare magazines that have a lot of useful information and pictures and so on in them. So we have a lot more to sort out and put in proper order, put on display, but these are what we have on display at the present time. Also here we have featured a lot of Islamic books, like books by Imam Ghazali, books by Dr. Ansari, and other noted people. This section this contains books on the Holy Prophet Muhammad, upon whom be peace. On this shelf here, we have some of the old Urdu textbooks that were used in the schools long ago. Standard 1, Standard 2 Urdu textbooks to teach people the Urdu language. And also at the top, we have some books featuring on the Holy Prophet Muhammad, upon whom be peace. Also, we have some nice pictorial books on foreign places like the Taj Mahal, Indian architecture, Islamic architecture, Jama Masjid in India, and so on. A lot of important books. Another highlight of the Archives and Museum is the General Register. This was given to us by the National Archives of Trinidad and Tobago. It has documented from number 1 to 10,581 of the Indian immigrants that came to Trinidad and Tobago from the very first one, starting from the year 1845 to the year 1956. So we have that index here, that register here in the ASJA Archives and Museum. We also have featured a lot of books from the schools, because as I hinted earlier, the project is also archives, not only museums, it's archives. So we are documenting the history of the schools as well as the masjids. So we have a lot of the books from the schools, the yearbooks and events that the schools, school achievements and so on. At the top here, this section, we have featured some of the past President Generals of the Anjuman Sunatul Jamaat Association, starting with Haji Ruknuddin Sahib, who was the Qazi and the first Sheikhul Islam of Trinidad and Tobago. Then we have some of the presidents as well, the past presidents. This picture features the first central executive of the Anjuman Sunatul Jamaat Association. Here we have also featured some of the old Urdu books that our fathers read. Some of them are 123 years old, 94 years old, and so on. 114 years old, 111 years old, and we have these books in the original condition. These are what our fathers used to read. Pure Urdu script. Here we have some household implements. And I'm sure a lot of people don't use these things nowadays. This is the old traditional grater that you would grate cassava, corn, and a number of things on. This is where it started, as a matter of fact. This is a coconut scraper. This first one. Just a piece of wood with a little strip of metal with teeth. And that's where the grater started. Then it graduated to this one. And now we have modern technology, so they don't use these things anymore. So that's what we have to have in a museum, to let the children know that's where the modern things came from. This is a little replica of a coal pot. And here in the back we have the seal and lower that the mothers in the home used to grind seasoning long ago and grind dry coconut and make coconut chutney and those kinds of things. So as we move along here, we have different implements used in the kitchen as well, like the belna, the simta, the dal gotni, dabla used to cook in roti, and here we have the jata or stone mill that they would use to grind grains long ago. It was used widely in India, and even when they came to Trinidad, they brought that to them and they continued using it here as well. Move along again, we have some more household implements, kitchen implements. We have the chowki that they would make the roti on. Here we have the puchara and the pukni. Puchara is the piece of stick with the claw that they put oil when cooking the roti. And the pukni is what we use to blow into the fireside to get the wood lighted. And you'll get a lot of ash and smoke in your eyes and all that. You start coughing and all that, but the food tasted better. I also have a replica of a fireside that was made by an old gentleman for me. At the back there with a little pot, just to show how it used to look. I am trying to get one made with a 2-compartment, also a 3-compartment chula, because he had those as well. And he would use a certain kind of mud and water to lipe or paste it over to keep it in good condition at all times. That's just a little history I'm giving you all about it. Now, many young people would not know what this item is. This is a dried calabash. And at this stage, we call it a boli. It's a water container. And I grew up with all of these things because I grew up at the village of Debe long ago. And they would put a wire handle through the hole here. There should be a hole on the other side. And there would be a wire handle with a piece of rubber to hold it. And they would put a cork and carry water to the lagoon and go to plant rice and plant garden and so on. And this would keep the water very cool. The old gentleman who died, Haji Sharif Feda Hussein, who donated a lot of stuff for us, he was in the process of fixing these two for me and he did not get to finish it. He died. So this is what they call a water carrier or a boli, dried calabash. Now for many of us in the village life long ago, we did not have pipe-borne water. So we used to rely on spouting, galvanized spouting to collect rainwater to fill in barrels or in the big metal coppers and so on. Or there would be a village standpipe. How would you transport the water from the standpipe to home, which would be approximately sometimes half mile? We'd use these biscuit tins and put a handle, and we hold two on the two sides and go to the standpipe and full water, where there would usually be a rush, a line of people waiting to full water to take to the homes with these biscuit tins. Now, our forefathers brought with them from India the art of making a lot of things, a lot of craft, and one of them happened to be pottery, in addition to basketry and so on. But pottery was one of the things that they brought with them. And these are some examples of pottery items made by some of our students of our secondary school on the compound right here, to show what our forefathers did in the past. These brass instruments, while a lot of them are used widely in prayers by our Hindu brothers and sisters, these originally were used across the board by everybody as drinking vessels to drink water from, and tea and so on. So some of these items featured here were widely used by everybody across the board. The Jarjibai scenario where they shared everything. This here is an original cloth mat made at home, where you take a piece of bag, not the plastic bags they have now, the bag material, long time bag, like sugar bag, rice bag, and you cut little strips of cloth and they weave it into the bag to make a mat, a doormat. So this is a long time doormat. These are our chairs long ago, because we were too poor to buy furniture for the home, so we had to make our own things, and this is what they would call a piral. You would sit on this and have your food and so on, or sit and relax or read a book or whatever. These two brass spray cans you see here, these were sold by Chestrian Company in Port of Spain many years ago. They are not in the business anymore, and they were not sold to the public. Caroni Limited bought out all of these brass spray cans, and they were widely used in the Caroni sugar estates. We were fortunate to acquire two of these, and they are still in working condition. Genuine brass. And here we have some of the cocoa wheels, which I showed you all in the picture with the cocoa houses. These are the wheels that the rails used to run on to slide the whole shed backward and forward, whether there's sun or rain, so the cocoa beans wouldn't get wet. These are some of the cocoa wheels from the cocoa house. This lamp was given to my wife by her mom. There's one of those old long-time lamps called Home Sweet Home. Many people remember, and the shade is next to it. So every morning you will have to wake up, take off the shade, take a piece of guardian paper, and wipe off all the black soot from inside and clean it up and put it up back on full kerosene and so on. So we have here some old clay jars that were used to store water in the homes, and also our old mill that they used to grind grains, rice and so on, and a press that they would press dal, grind dal, or to make different things in the home. And also we have two sizes of the mortar and pestle used to pound grains. Now these two items are called by the Indian name of gaila, but they are what they are really are large jars, earthen jars that they were glazed, and these were brought to the country by the English estate owners. They were handed down to local people when the estates closed and they left. And these were used on the estates to store water, to store condiments, sweets, and all kinds of other things. So we were fortunate to acquire these as well. Yeah, here we have two models which I built. The first one, if you remember long ago, you would take a long piece of cane and put the mango tree where the fork is in the mango tree, and take a piece of wood and press down, and you have a spout collecting the juice. So I built a model of a cane press to show how they would make cane juice locally to use in the homes. And next to that is what they call a deki. Now that's a very small model. That deki is very long, sometimes 10, 12 feet long, where they would use to pound grains in the ground, in a hole in the ground. It was widely used in India, and I think a few of them came to Trinidad as well. So we will try to acquire one of the actual size. Hopefully we would have space to put it somewhere, inshallah, in the future. But these are just two models to show what they look like. Yeah, this is an old single sewing machine that would normally be on a stand with the pedal and the wheel on the side with the belt. Afterwards, they came with the motorized one that the ladies wouldn't have to be exercising the feet all that much. But long ago, they used one with the pedal on the stand with the wheel at the side and a belt. And this is what they used to sew the clothes on the single sewing machine. Here we have an old hand mirror. We have some old Trinidad coins, a long time penny, and the 1 cent and the shilling and so on. There's a brass culture here that we used long ago in the home. Again, because of the lack of funds to buy things for home, we used to use these kind of cups to drink water and tea in the homes, and juice and so on. When we were fortunate to have juice, that is. So we use the cups and clean them out and use that. These are the cocoa needles that we used to sew up the cocoa bags when they were filled with the cocoa beans in the estate. And also they were used to sew and make what they call pal. When you open up 6 bags and they make one big thing called a pal, you sew them with that. And the very small enamel cup there is what children used to be given when they were very small. This baby cup, little enamel cup. because we didn't have electric heaters in those days. So they would put this to hot on the coals, wipe it out, and iron your clothes with this. I have about 6 of these in my possession in the museum, and they were made in England. Surprisingly, a guy from England came to this museum, and he wanted to buy back one from me. I didn't release it. Here we have some old horseshoes that were found on an old estate in South, and some other artifacts. This briefcase is the original briefcase that belonged to our past President General of ASJA, Haji Abdul Sattar. And I was fortunate to be able to acquire this to put in the ASJA Archives and Museum. These items in this box happens to be a whole set of the old groove and tongue block planes that were used by carpenters long ago. They did everything by hand. They didn't have power tools as we have now. So this is a whole set of groove and tongue block planes. For those of you who are a little musically inclined, this is what the guys like Jamil Hussain and the others, long-time singers use. The organ, the harmonica, the organ, as well as the tabla. Now for those of you who don't know, tabla is widely used in a lot of countries, especially in India. The tabla originated in Iraq. I did the history and research on it. We also have featured here some other musical instruments, the janj, the flute, bassuri, shak, and a lot of other things. Traditional sapat, long time people shoes. It has been replaced now by a modern sapat. They have a whole line of shoes now called the sapat brand. But this is what it came from, a block of wood and a piece of old rubber, most likely a piece of bicycle tire or something. Right? And then we have the coconut hat at the back, which is made from a piece of a coconut branch. This item is what they call a soup. That's what they used to winnow or fan rice, ladies who hold above their heads and test the breeze and shake it so the rice will fall and the breeze will blow off all the chaff and little pieces of straw and so on from the rice to one side. So you used to use that to winnow or fan rice. And I come up to some very interesting items, which are some of the things we use as toys long ago. Homemade toys. A bobbin, a piece of candle, a stick and a rubber band. And you would wind this around and get the rubber band tight and release and it would move. Some of you might remember this item. We put the Sweden corks on the train line, and the train wheels would pass over and flatten the cork, and we then do it like this, and we hold it, and it spins. And we'd have competition and try to cut other people's lines. It's a slingshot. Now they have modern store-made slingshots, but this is the traditional homemade slingshot. Though I'm not going to shoot the camera. And this is a homemade top, made from a piece of wood, and you drive a nail straight through it, get the whole thing balanced, shaped properly, and you put the string around and you have a homemade top. And a very interesting item now is this one. I don't know if you all remember or know about a thing called press long ago, where this guy on a bicycle with a big carrier tray at the front with a big block of ice covered with bags, and you have this shaver and he would shave the ice, then press it into a glass, take it out and dip it 2 sides in 2 different coloring, sweet coloring, and give it to you as a press. That would normally sell for about a penny or 3 cents depending on the size. So this is the press. There were rumors also that this was used to shave donkeys as well. I don't know how true that is. And this is our lamp of a flambeau. We had filled the bottle with kerosene, put a piece of cloth for the wick. That would pull the kerosene up and soak and you light it. So we use that as our light in our homes long ago. Okay, I made reference earlier on to the Hondo River settlement. These were soldiers of the disbanded West India Regiment, African brothers, who after they were disbanded, they had nowhere to send them. So they sent them to the Caribbean islands to settle and to do work and so on. And one settlement came here along the Manzanilla stretch, and some of them went to the Valencia forest and they set up their settlement there, at the confluence of the Hondo River. And that's where the Hondo River settlement was. These 3 bottles came from that site. Just imagine going back in history and touching this bottle that those people came from 1817 with. And it is still in pristine condition. These are just 3 examples of going back in history. Very, very priceless items.
Well, my dear viewers, that was a fantastic little program. We hope you enjoyed it. We hope that you learned something from it. And we hope that you would take this information and share it with others. If you would like to be interviewed, or if you know of any organization or community event that is happening that you think is adding value to the community, reach out to us. Give us a call. on 647-450-7541. Give us a call and we can have them on the program. So with that, good evening, take care, and join us on our next program for the pillar of the community.